For any of you people that did see that TV show about how I was going to tell my story about how I came to the church, of course the TV station didn't really put everything out there. I was there for over an hour telling my story on how I came to New York and how I learned about that church and how I came to this church. Well, Sunday morning when I was in church, they asked us to all stay after church, that they wanted to have a meeting. They wanted to let the church know that we were in trouble. So I took it to heart that our church was in trouble. I did what I felt God wanted me to do. I wanted to tell my story about how I came to New York. I did that. And I wanted to talk about how desperate we need people to come to our church. And I did that. And I talked about the budget, which I made a mistake. I meant to say yearly or seasonal, and I said we pay this much money, and then my interviewer asked me questions like, oh, do you do that monthly? And I was so upset anyway, and I wasn't thinking, and I kind of shook my head. Well, no, it wasn't monthly. So I made an error. I wasn't trying to ask people to donate money. I was trying to ask people to come to the church because I don't want to see the church close. And everybody kept saying, the church isn't going to close. You know, if they were going to say the church isn't going to close, then why did I feel so important, or so, not important, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that because somebody will take that out of context. I felt in my heart God speaking to me saying, we can save this church. We can save this church. So no, it's not going to close. With the grace of God, it's going to stay open. And because I wanted to come out and ask you people to come to a church since yours is closed, and so many other churches are closed, that if you need a church to come to, after telling my story about how I came about this church and how wonderful I thought it was, I wanted you to come. I wanted you to find a new church since yours is closed. So a lot of people had their churches closed here. And a lot of churches are closing everywhere around the world. They're closing. Evil's trying to take over. This world is in trouble. So if they didn't make it sound so urgent that Sunday that the church might close and that we're down to a 6-month budget and we hardly have any money left, but we got to do something, I did something. I did something. And yet, because of the evil in this world, there's always someone who's swayed by the devil, and they get evil and they start thinking, well, I wasn't the one that went to the TV station. I wasn't the one that was able to control the situation, so I'm going to complain. I'm going to dig and I'm going to find something so I can find fault. And there was a fault found. Someone made a comment about they went to this church or their mother went to the church or whatever. And it turns out that it wasn't even that church. He was talking about some other church. So, you know, when people say bad things, you're going to have that on the internet no matter what. No matter how hard you try to do the right thing, someone's going to complain because someone's not happy. They don't want you to be happy. So they're going to step in and they're going to make sure that you're not happy. They're going to ruin everything. So someone tried to do that. Unfortunately, it was someone in my church. Someone in my church found that something was posted that wasn't good and it made the church look bad. So all of a sudden now, I did the wrong thing. I shouldn't have gone to the TV station. I shouldn't have done the interview. So, as it turned out good. I did an okay job. They didn't, broadcast what I wanted them to about my story, which was what it was all about. It was supposed to be my story. And they took what they took out of it, and it made it, we were desperate. I said that we were desperate, and I'm not lying. We were desperate. I don't know how else to explain it. If we weren't desperate, why would we have a meeting after church talking about we could end up closing the church if we can't get things going, and if we can't do anything. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I did. I went to the TV station. What else can I do? I felt that God was compelling me to go there, talk to these people, see if we could get an interview. I did. And because of it, we ended up with a couple of people coming to the church that weren't there before. So I did finally reach out to some people. But then in church, they made it sound like I wasn't telling the truth, that we weren't in such dire straits, that we're just getting there. Well, really, I got worried. I was afraid the church was going to close. I don't want that. It's 200 years old. It's been around longer than most churches in this area. I did what God wanted me to do. And I still feel like that wasn't enough. And on some people, I think that was too much. So I'm really, really disappointed. But I forgive everybody because I know it's evil. It's Satan. He's doing whatever he has to do to try to destroy this church. And I'm not going to let it happen. But it just saddens me to think that there's somebody, always somebody, that's got to put a screwdriver into your works. Like too many cooks spoil the soup. I didn't do it to get notoriety. I didn't do it because I wanted people to notice me or anything like that. I did it because God asked me to do it. I felt God wanted me to do something to help save this church, and I did. So we got some donations. We did get extra money. We did get a bunch of lottery tickets and ended up winning some money. And I thank you. I thank all of you that have helped me in my endeavor to save my church. I hope everybody understands that it was from my heart. I had good intentions. I was asked a couple of questions and I really couldn't answer them because I didn't have the information and I was kind of put on the spot. And unfortunately, those were the things that were broadcast on TV. So it made me look bad to my church family. Although people had come to me and said that I did a good job and they liked what I did. And I told them I made a mistake. So I said, crucify me, I made a mistake. But as it all turns out, God is good. And I feel good about what I did. So now I'm just going to let it go. If we get more members to the church, well, then that's a blessing. If we get more money coming into the church, that's a blessing. I did say that people could donate online to calciumcommunitychurch.org. We do accept PayPal. So I'm asking you, if you find it in your heart and you can't come to my church, if you could at least donate, I would appreciate it. I would. So, people, I just had to speak out because I felt so bad that I tried so hard and I want to save this church. And, they made it sound like if we don't do something, we could lose the church. I didn't say we were going to lose the church. I didn't say we were going to close. I did not say that. I was in fear of it maybe closing because we don't have enough members in the church. So, forgive me if I didn't do it right. Forgive me. But my heart was in this. And I meant well. And I'm hoping and praying that my TV interview will come out to where people will come to the church and we'll save this church. But right now, I'm serious. That's all we got. A little bit of money in the savings account. You can't run a church on that little bit of money with the bills that we have to pay. And we have to, I don't know if you know, a lot of churches have to pay for their music, so their worship team, buys music and to play it on our TVs and everything, they're copyrighted. A lot of times we have to buy that. There's so many expenses that people aren't aware of in a church to keep it running. And we like to offer coffee and drinks, water and juice. We like to have a potluck dinner every month for everybody. Bring in something so we could all gather together and enjoy each other's company. So we have that once a month. This year, we opened our church at Christmas and Thanksgiving to offer outside people dinner or even company. That, you know, if they're alone and they don't have anybody to spend Christmas or spend Thanksgiving, they could come to our church. We went ahead and got the food and cooked it all for everybody. Of course, we weren't doing that every year. We just decided this past year that we would, so that anyone that couldn't, you know, come to church or couldn't go anywhere, or they didn't have family, or they were alone, or the family they didn't have enough food. You know, these times are tough. People are having a hard time. So I was hoping that, you know, they would come, and we ended up with about almost 30 people for Christmas. I don't know, I didn't really count how many people we had Thanksgiving, but we had a good bunch of people come. So we were a blessing for other people. And then in August, we always have a giveaway of children's books and pencils and, you know, school supplies. And then at Christmas also, we put a tree up at the post office, local town post office, and we buy coats, and people make hats and scarves, and then we get gloves and we hang them on the tree, and people can come into the post office, and if they need a coat, they need gloves, they need whatever is hanging on the tree, they take it. So we do work for the community. We are a community church. We love everybody. We try so hard to help as many people as we can. We don't have a food pantry. We do have food, so that if people in our church or someone they know or someone close by needs food and needs help, we're going to give it to them. We give them food. When people get sick in our church, we go visit them, we bring them food. So that if they're too sick to cook or help themselves or cook for their families, we bring them food. We do so much. So that's why it means so much for me to see this church stay open. I mean, it is 200 years old. Why not? But, you know, I'm looking to the Lord and hope that we have the blessings that we need to keep this 200-year-old church open and keep it going. And from the grace of God, it will. It will. It's not going to close. I assure you that it's not going to close, because people are trying to do their best to help this church stay alive. But I want to thank those that have donated, and I want to thank those that have come to the church. Thank you. I don't know how many people will see this, but I want to thank you. And if you go to our website and you donate through PayPal, I want to thank you ahead of time. Thank you. From my heart, the good Lord says thank you. I want to thank you. And God thanks you. Everything you do for the church, everything you do for helping people, God thanks you. Make Him proud. I also want to pray for everyone out there to escape sickness and to take God into their hearts, Jesus into their hearts, and thank Him every day that you wake up, and thank Him that you have another day to make it right, to do right, to walk in His footsteps, to do what He would do, and more be like Him. That's what I pray. Thank you. Thank you.